Alrighty, so week 12, our really big week coming in, our Dev 1. And I've already seen a couple of you, which is awesome. Thank you very much, those who worked ahead. I know Kelly posted his code, and I won't mention anyone else, but if they want to post their code, they're welcome to as well. Both really good examples. And it was great to see the work that got done. So, the thing I want to say this week is actually I want to answer a question that was posted by John about JSON. Okay, because in last week's attendance, I mentioned that that's really what I would want to do, and so I'm thinking what I might do for my Dev 2, in addition to doing the graphical Tinker implementation, is actually convert my wins and losses into JSON. Now, what is JSON? JSON is basically a modern replacement, and this is why I brought this up for XML. But XML is still around. It's just a way of exchanging data between sites. Like a very common thing on the web is to make an API call, right? So I'm just going to pull up Google Maps. I'm not going to actually make an API call, but when your application calls, sorry, maps, how about I pull up maps? And it's going to be slow because of where I'm at. Sorry about that. But when you pull up maps or you ask for directions from your code, okay? Obviously, when you ask for it here in the browser, what gets delivered to you is a web page with all this information, right? Well, behind the scenes, what really is getting delivered to the web page is a JSON file that is then rendered with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript into the web page. Okay, so you can kind of see where I'm at. But here's the point: is that anytime you want to exchange data, either asking for information from an API. APIs are very common because you want information in various contexts for your application. So when you want that, a very common way to get it as a payload, and a payload is really like I in my code, let's say I asked for directions, right? From Google Maps. What Google Maps delivers back to me is a JSON file. And then what I do in my code is I consume that JSON file and create the output that I want my user to see. So, and that's the thing is like, even though JSON has in it JavaScript object notation, the first time, I'll never forget this, the first time I heard the term JSON, I thought, well, that should be easy to read in JavaScript. But the truth is, you do actually have to convert it inside of JavaScript to something that you can read, which is basically an object literal. So, but the key is it's language independent, which is kind of a misnomer if you just looked at the name. But on the web, this is the most common way we exchange information. Like it's just, and it's highly used. It's definitely it's basically what you think of in this course as a data dictionary, except all things, even if their numeric values, have to be in strings. So it's basically a data dictionary. A little more formatting, but not a lot. But that formatting is standardized across the web. So yeah, it is a great thing, and the reason I hesitated redoing mine was because I wanted to see that. But I was excited. I'll say this, Shane. I was excited that Shane in his week 11 Learn Together is actually going to convert his card game, his saves and losses into the shelf idea, which I was actually that was kind of something I was looking forward to seeing or doing. So I'm excited to see his implementation of that. Okay, I wanted to answer that. And then as we move, the one thing I want to say here is that hopefully you all got and I noticed some of you have already signed up for the code reviews or assistant sessions next week. And hopefully you understand all that. The thing I want to say, and I was really paying very close attention to your week 11 learn together, because the thing is, some of you had actually implemented these ideas in your Dev Zero, so I wanted to see what you were going to add, because even though you implemented maybe the idea of reading files, right? And several of you actually already did some summary data. I want to see you take your concept further if you've already implemented this. And I've noticed from everyone that I read this morning, you actually are doing that, which is awesome, right? So, and I've seen some great examples of additional Python that's not covered in this course that a couple of folks have done already. So, boom, there you go. I'm looking forward to that. I just wanted to say, again, that's why I was reading very closely, and you can see my replies to the week 11 attendance, because I was looking for to see how you were going to extend that if you had already covered some of the requirements. FYI, I did work ahead to week 13. And I know many of you will not be looking there yet. So some of you might be, though, because you've already finished. So that was an interesting week. I realized after I'd done the video what my error was on my virtual environment. So check that out. And I will be working the first of next week on 14, which will be our last week of covering the Udemy course before we move on to Tinker. So I think that's all I had for this week. Remember, it's still the changes in the attendance. Seems like some of you got that concept and understood it. So if there's any questions going forward, you can go back and look at week 11 attendance to know what that change is going forward. Now, by the way, one thing I do want to say, and this is what I want you to reply to, anything I've talked about, but specifically this, is when you are submitting late work and you have done attendance, just tell me in your submission that you did so I don't have to go back and look. Because, I will probably just normally discount it, and then it'll be your job to tell me, oh, you know what, I did attendance that week. So just make your life easier. To be clear, it'd be like if you were submitting your code along here, late, of course, at this point, in your submission, just say, oh, you know what, I did attendance. So what I do is only take off half of the late points. All right. Sounds great. Talk to you soon. Bye.